you have to have the right goal in mind. And their goal was to be famous, and that's not going to do it. So when you make it all about you,
Mm.
everything fails.
Hey everyone, welcome to Time to Thrive. Our guest today has jumped out of planes, climbed mountains, built businesses, and somehow still finds time to host over 500 podcast interviews. Casey Cheshire is a former Marine turned marketing guru and the founder of Ringmaster Conversational Marketing, where he helps brands ditch the boring sales pitch and build real human connections through podcasting. He is also the author of Marketing Automation Unleashed. And if there's one thing Casey doesn't do, it's fluff. He's all about straight talk, smart strategy, and having some fun along the way. Casey, welcome to the show.
Dang. Thank you for having me here. Such an opportunity. You're now my official spokesperson. Anywhere we go, you let people
I
know
got to
what's
put
going
my
on.
radio voice on for that beginning, for the intro.
Yes.
Okay, super random question of the day. Pick a number between 1 and 5.
I'm gonna go with let's go with 2.
Okay. Which actor or actress would play you in a documentary?
Oh, who would play me? Oh no. Oh no.
See, now you can't think of any names of any actors whatsoever, let alone the one who would play you.
You know what? This might be, I was talking earlier about the one question that would stump me, and this might be one of them. You found my kryptonite, evil lady.
I don't know.
Um,
Brad Pitt.
let's go with Brad
Well,
Pitt.
let's go with Brad Pitt.
It certainly isn't gonna be Tom Hanks.
All right. You've interviewed over 500 experts on your show. I'm like sneaking up here on my 100th episode.
Let's
You've
go.
done over 500, which is amazing. And one of the things I love, love, love about doing a podcast is all these amazing people I get to meet. And you've interviewed over 500 amazing people. So what's the one game-changing lesson that stuck with you the most when it comes to business growth?
You know what?
Can you boil it down?
Yeah. You gotta connect.
Start with an easy question,
I
Casey.
know, I know. You gotta connect on a one-to-one basis, face to face, really, with your buyer. And I think it sounds so dumb and simple and stupid, but there are a million gazillion apps out there and SaaS software that we have allowed to trick us into thinking that instead of directly communicating with your buyer, you put a little app in between you. You put another app in between you, another app in between you. And before you know it, you have all these layers. And what ends
Mhm.
up happening is we stop knowing what they're actually looking for. We stop knowing what their pain is. And then we start, guess what? Hallucinating, right? Everyone says AI hallucinates. Well, guess what? We do too, and probably worse than AI does. Hey, what does our customer need? I don't know. So my own little crazy bias, Casey bias, is going to go, hey, they need this or this or this, right? And listen,
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm trying to fix this, but I'm guilty of this as well. I went through decades teaching people how to use email marketing and all these other tools, only to realize I was so behind all these layers that I'd been making up things. And what happens when you make up stuff? Your marketing gets worse, and not in like a quick death. It gets worse in a slow decline.
Mm.
And I've called this disconnected marketing, right? When you see your best campaign slowly are going down and you're looking at that. So anyone listening, if you have your go-to thing, it's events or it's this or that, or this campaign or this ad or whatever it is, and you start seeing the performance slowly decline, I think you may have to worry about disconnected marketing too. And we got to get ourselves back in front of the customer and actually asking them what their problems are.
Yeah, that is a great answer. And I probably would have used, if I was answering that myself, I probably would have also used the word experience. We lose sight of the customer experience
Yeah.
if under the layers of all the technology that you're talking about. And it really isn't. We use those things, we use those tools because it's convenient for us, but we also have to be mindful of what that feels like on the other side. right?
Yeah.
How does that feel to the customer? Does it feel personal? Does it feel relevant? Does it feel make an emotional connection and that kind of thing? So, love, love, love your answer.
I've got a
That
test for you
that's
too.
going to be a YouTube short, guaranteed.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
That was gold, Casey.
Let's go.
Uh,
Editing in Alabama. New series. Um, here's the test, right? The test is, can you name 7 of your customers by company name, right?
mm,
And there's a cheat here. Logos are really helpful, right? Maybe you don't remember the company name, but you go, "Oh, I remember that cute logo and that logo." Maybe you got a really fancy company. You're like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, you work with them? I work with them." And you remember these logos, right? So remembering 7 companies by company name, not so bad. But then here's part 2 of that. Can you name 7 customers by first and last name? Right? And if you just recently did a breakfast with them or something, you may have some names at the ready and then awesome. But there's usually some sort of pause in between there. And for some people, that pause is like me trying to answer your other question where I'm like, oh dear God, please ask somebody else. Like, can we go to card 3 instead? Like in the difference, the delta between how you would answer the first question and the second one is the disconnected marketing, right? That's a signal to you saying, you may not be as close to the situation
mhm.
as you think, and you may be hallucinating and making up some crazy things in your marketing.
Yeah, that's so true. I've talked about this before. As a business owner, we have to remember who our audience is on the regular because we do have that bias. We're like, even when it comes to what our brochures look like or our website or whatever it is, if we like it, we assume everybody will like it.
Right?
And your customer is not necessarily you.
Right. It's like Super
Um,
Bowl commercials, right? Like, I think a couple of years ago, Oatly had this thing with their idiot CEO sitting in a field playing a stupid piano, right? And I hate it. I still hate it to this day. I'll never buy Oatly because of that. But guess what? That ad wasn't for me, right?
mhm.
Now I'm talking about it, so they get their revenge on me because I just gave them free promotion on this podcast.
Right. Well,
But
I wasn't a big fan of the Doritos commercial with the half naked woman who like bit it out of the air and, did all, because that was for men.
you have my attention even just describing that ad. I'm gonna have to go
I
look it up
just
later.
was like, that's not my favorite. I'm not buying
Right.
Doritos for that reason.
But that's the critical thing, right? It's just maybe not for you. Like, is this either a bad ad or is this just maybe it was geared towards someone else? So it's always good to ask. I don't know if you saw the recent Super Bowl, the Nike commercial, right? Um,
They
it
have
was
so
about
many.
it was
So
it was this thing about it was like women's athletics and whatnot. I saw it and I was like, this is dumb. Like, this is a waste. This doesn't, but guess what? I also thought in my head, well, they're
it's for
clearly
women.
talking about
Yeah.
women's athletics. It probably doesn't need to be cool and relevant to you as a guy, right? And then I asked my daughter, I asked my wife, I asked some other people, hey, what'd you think about that ad? And generally the people of the right demographic like the ad. And so
Right.
there it is. And so to your point, it just, hey, we can't assume that we're our buyer, even
Yeah.
if you're the same industry that they are and you have 30 years of experience, things change. And so we
Well,
gotta stay
there's been
connected.
a pretty big notable example of that here recently with Bud Light. With their marketing team lost sight of who their customers
Yeah.
are and put out something that was pretty, that their audience just said, "Yeah, no, you've
Call me
lost.
crazy, but
You don't
I'm literally
understand this."
never gonna drink that again if I have the ability to do that.
Yeah,
And call me just a stick in the mud or something, but we have a lot of great IPAs up here in New England, and some of these Kolsch are coming out of Europe. I'm good. There's plenty of variety. I don't need to go back to the
yeah,
common denominator and partake of that beer because you're right. When they insult their own audience, their own drink, like you're like, "What are you doing?" And I know it's one person, and I probably shouldn't hold a grudge, but I will
yeah.
until,
Well, it's just
Bud Light comes out of the
attitude.
sky and, like, tells me that ask for my forgiveness, I'm probably just gonna choose elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing that, I'm sure there's many things we have in common because we're in the same space. But one of the things that I love we have in common is that you do not like fluff.
Right.
I hate fluff.
I hate
I'm
fluff.
like, what is the whole
Can't do
purpose
it.
of all of that? And I really hate you'll make $1 million if you just do these 3 simple steps kind of
Right.
thing. Like, what?
right? And if you
No, that
could,
doesn't work.
they probably wouldn't be telling you how to do it. They'd probably just be making it.
Right, right. They're making a lot of money telling you a lie. So, what are some of the biggest myths or bad advice that small business owners sometimes fall for that we need to just avoid? Like,
Yeah.
just call it out.
It's the ego metrics, right? We call it vanity metrics in the marketing space. You know what? I once had someone come to us and say, "Hey, Casey, I want you to help me launch a podcast." We do this all the time, and we launch some great shows. But this person was like, "I want to be more famous." Now, let's be honest, between you and me, this person didn't even qualify for whatever the baseline of that was to be more of, right? So they weren't exactly famous. They had a few LinkedIn connections, but they were not more famous worthy. But like that should have been a red flag for me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I knew now that their goal of the podcast, right? The answer to disconnected marketing is a podcast, but that doesn't mean that you can just do it. You have to have the right goal in mind. And their goal was to be famous, and that's not going to do it. So when you make it all about you,
Mm,
everything fails.
yeah.
Casey's great podcast strategy falls into pieces when you redirect it onto yourself. And so the method we like to talk about is called connection casting, where you make it about your guest. And it's a gift. I'm so grateful to be on your show. Like you giving me time and attention of your time, attention, and your audience's attention. It is such a great gift. Now, if we got on this pod and you were just like, Casey, sit there and listen. I'm going to tell you all about me for the next whatever, right? That's a trick. That's not, and that breaks it, right? But instead, you're like, no, I want to learn from you. I
Right.
want to extract things from you, and that starts this whole relationship off with like, man, she is awesome. I will. I want to do more with you. I want to partner with you on whatever we can do because you're great and you're fun and too. So we definitely got to go out for some beers and let's get everyone in the company. Let's
Next
go.
time you're in Alabama, Casey, that
Okay, I'm holding you to
on
that,
me.
right? But, like, we started this thing the right way because we're giving time and attention, and so the big mistake I see is when people say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, podcast," and they're like, "It's about me," right? No, no, no. You make the pod about what your guest is good at. So rather than make it about what you're good at, like working with an accountant, right? He does accounting for marketing agencies, and we like, "Don't make an accounting podcast because you want your guest to be an ideal customer. And that's where this really kicks in. If your guest can be a dream customer, you make a relationship and that fosters things and you grow and then maybe they buy from you. That's magic. And so don't make your pod about accounting because I'm certainly not joining that one. I don't know about you, but like I can talk about a balance sheet for about 2 sentences until I'm like back to
Mhm.
question two again. Right. So it's like, no, make it about what your customers can be good at, right? And that way they want to come on, they can share their knowledge, they feel like they really crushed it, and feel it's good. If your guest feels like they crushed it, you rock that pod. And so that's the big mistake is making it about you. It should be about them, always them. And even the word ringmaster, right? Our company's called Ringmaster. But the whole reason is, well, one, The Greatest Showman was an awesome movie. And then two,
It was.
it's all about pointing at everyone else. Like the ringmaster is awesome, but they're like, "Hey, check out that act. Hey, look over here at these performers. The clowns are really funny. The
Yes.
trapeze are amazing." They're pointing out other people, and so they become more popular and they grow in attention. But they do that in a selfless way by redirecting attention, right? So that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I when I craft questions for my guests, I'm looking for the insights, the nuggets of wisdom that are going to most benefit the audience, from that person's expertise. Like,
Yeah.
I see it as an opportunity for me to I learn every time. I always listen to the podcast later when it goes live
Yeah.
because I'm so focused on other things when I'm actually doing the podcast. So I like to listen to it later and then I hear something and I go, "Oh my gosh, why am I not doing that? How did I not remember that that was in the show?" So
Or you
it's
said something stupid over and over again. I used to say the word definitely all the time. Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely.
we gotta
Yeah,
edit.
actually, definitely,
We
definitely.
try and edit those things out. We don't want anybody to know that I'm human. Um, you believe podcasting is one of the most powerful tools for B2B marketing. So, how can even a small business tap into that if they don't have a big team or a big budget? What's your advice for a small business owner who wants to tap into it?
100%. Like my mission here is to create human connection, to defeat disconnected marketing, right? So that's what I'm here for. So if you can do that, with my company, if you can do that without my company, I don't care how you get it done, just get it done, because disconnected marketing makes it just, it's terrible to be on the receiving end of, right? I'm tired of bad marketing and seeing people and their businesses fail. So let's fix this. Now, can my team help you? Sure. Can you do it yourself? A good friend wrote a book called Start Ugly. Start Ugly. Just get this thing
That's
going,
a great title.
right? And the idea of like, just pull up your damn Zoom and get your client on the other end, hit record and ask them questions. Throw that bad boy on YouTube unedited. Right now, the producer's cringing right now, and he probably just had an aneurysm. But just get it up there, right? But because more importantly than what you do with the distribution is the fact that you had the conversation. I think sometimes in marketing we can get shy. And if we weren't so shy, we'd be in sales and we'd look like sales, we'd have sales hair and we'd be fantastic, right? But instead, we're doomed to be in marketing with our collared shirts,
I've never heard it put
our
that way
tire
before,
mark.
but that is so true.
It's true, right? And so, but like marketing needs some kind of reason to reach out and have these conversations. We used to back in the Mad Men days, we'd be like, we just offer them a drink and we'd all just hang out. But nowadays it's like, I don't want to bother them. And you probably shouldn't bother them. But how do you have a conversation? And sometimes we say, well, can you come answer my questions for a case study? AKA, can I waste your time to help me with my work over here at my company? And some people are like, well, I like what you did for me. So, okay. But it kind of feels weird. And so most marketers don't do it. And they're like, what questions do I ask? So you just need something. So I found no better way than calling it a podcast. Tell, tell your customer, tell your prospect, it's a podcast, give it a name, and now you got a podcast. Now there's some layers to it, and you can make it better than ugly, but at the very minimum, just having that conversation and finding out before you did the search to try to find a solution to this problem, what was the trigger? That's a great question. Then when you started searching, where did you search? And eventually, how'd you find us? Right, to a customer, or if it's a prospect, how are you looking for things, and what kind of criteria are you using to pick? These are just some basic questions you can ask these folks to just find out, and that way
Yeah.
you don't have to have that terrible marketing that doesn't work anymore and slowly gets worse and worse. You just get the data. But again, those are some good questions for you. Make sure you ask some questions that let your guest answer with some expertise. Hey, Casey, tell me about podcasting. Blah, all the things come out, right?
Right.
And not about the cash balance sheet. So it's just all about asking some good questions. Now, that's the Start Ugly. If you want to get beautiful, there's some layers to it. So you and I, we both podcasted a lot. If we go back and listen to, I don't know if you've done this, listen to like episode 2. My episode 2 is pretty raw, and I basically violate all the rules we teach people not to do when people do a podcast with us. I break them all. And the reason they're rules now is because after I broke them, I thought, that was terrible. Don't do that ever again. So there is some benefit to working with a team. And this is a term I'm sure you and I are aware of, but maybe not those listening. It's called pod fading. Pod
Yeah.
fading. You start a podcast, you're all excited, bright eyed, bushy tailed, started a podcast. Maybe it's ugly, but maybe it's not. But then guess what? You stop doing it. And
Mhm.
sometimes it happens statistically around 7 to 12. You just stop doing it. And there's 2 reasons why. One, well, it's a lot of work. And you're like, damn, this is a lot of work. And even if somebody else does your editing, it's still a lot of work. People rescheduling, people asking questions, prepping for the show, all the things that happen afterward, not even to mention promoting the show. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things involved. And then guess what happens? Part 2, not that many people listen right away, right? Hey, maybe mom listens, and maybe your company, maybe your employees, maybe your team, your coworkers, maybe they don't even listen, right? And so you have all that hard work, and at the beginning, not that many people are listening, and then you just stop doing it, right? So having a team that has your back, especially one that does all the things, can really help. And if they can give you some tips and tricks and training of how not to look like it's your first podcast, but maybe you look like it's your 100th or your 400th, and really it is only your 4th, but you had some good training, that can really help, especially if you're going to interview your future customer, because you want to look like you've done this before.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about ROI
Yeah.
because, and I'm not even talking about money, because I think if you think you're going to start a podcast and become like one of the top 5 in the country, that's like thinking that you're going to play in the NFL. Like
Right.
it's such a small percentage to make it to that where it's a very profitable podcast.
Or find the golden ticket in a chocolate bar,
Right.
you
I
know?
mean, and so the reason to do a podcast really isn't about becoming famous and making lots of money.
Right.
But there is ROI in it. So maybe let's talk a little bit about that
Talk through it.
and the
Yeah, there's a
benefits
whole
of
study on this, and I did a whole webinar on this if people are interested. So there's layers to this, like an onion or a cake. And the first layer actually can be direct revenue. Right, and it's not the other metrics. We'll get to those metrics, but the very first layer can be direct revenue. This happened to me accidentally. I was doing a podcast, I was winging it, this show, and just trying to get it going for content's sake, and I needed to do some thought leadership and all that marketing jam. And then I was having this conversation, and at the time, I was running a company that did software setup, and we really helped people get all their marketing, email marketing set up and all that, right? And I talked to this really cool CMO. She was an absolute badass. And afterwards, she mentioned offline, hey, by the way, I'm migrating from Marketo to Pardot. I'm migrating from some other tool to the exact tool that my company specialized in. And it was like, well, no shit. Can we swear? I don't know. Well, I'll give you an editor something to talk about. I was like, hey, you do? Guess what? We specialize in that. She's like, oh my gosh, you do? I'm like, yeah, that's all we do. Great. So we got our teams together. They scoped it out, and kind of like a friends and family deal. There was no sales cycle. This was, hey, this is my friend. Take good care of her. Make sure we scope it correctly. Hey, this is my friend. We're gonna do this business with them. Let's get them all the data they need. And we did the deal. There was no long sales cycle, 4 months of, let's harass each other and let's pretend like we're gonna buy. And are we gonna buy? No, it was like a friend or a family deal where you take good care of them and they obviously work with you. And you
right,
skip all of the games that we play. And I thought, oh my gosh, this was cool. And it was a big deal too. It was like one of our larger deals. And it was so easy. And I thought, why are we doing all these other things? I should just do this. And that was on accident. What if I make it on purpose? So then I went and I found all the CMOs for all the biggest companies that had that software, invited them all to be a guest on my podcast. Many of them turned into customers, into partners. It's people that didn't need me right away would refer their friends because we had spent so much time on a pod together. And then some other ones just became friends. And this was, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So that's really where the company came about. Was I just wanted to help other people have this experience. But in terms of ROI, yeah, there could be a direct revenue line at the top, but then there's those lines below it where people are referring you, that word of mouth. Oh, so and so. Oh yeah, my friend over here, my podcast friend. Yeah, here, talk to him, right? And then below that, you start having all that content, all the all the things that are out there. When you put a video up on YouTube, now you're showing up in YouTube searches. People don't always realize this. Hey, if you have these words and key phrases and even the name of the person in YouTube, guess what? Now you show up for them in Google search. That's pretty cool. And then eventually all the other things, all your listeners really start to trust you. I mean, if they've listened to you for 100 episodes, guaranteed they're like, you know what? I trust her. And
right,
and trusting someone is the key to buying from them.
right.
So yeah, like all the different layers add up to dang, and not even to talk about the content you got or the connections, and it's just there's so much to it. It really is kind of a Swiss Army knife of marketing, But again, it cuts through the bullshit.
Yeah. You've been on both sides of the mic, right? You've been on a host and a guest.
Yeah.
And so even if a business owner doesn't start a podcast, they can get their expertise and become a guest on podcasts. That's one way that they can get exposure and that know, like, and trust factor thought leadership that we're talking about. So, what advice would you give to a business owner who's looking on being the guest side of the microphone, and how can they really stand out, show up, and be successful in that role?
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's my advice. I'm doing it right now. Don't do it. This is a total mistake. No, just kidding. Okay. So, you know what? We offer this as a service, but it's never the primary. It's never the starting point. That because there's a challenge to it. Um, Being a guest on a podcast can be a great way to grow your own podcast and cross-pollinate audiences and learn from other podcasters and get some good experience with your talking points and things like that. But one of the best calls to action, instead of click here, click there, it could be, hey, if you like this pod and this conversation, check out my podcast, right? Those kind of things. And maybe you like that. And some people will go and they'll listen to yours and they'll stick around and stay. Some people won't, and that's okay. But it's a great call to action to it's a great way to grow your own attention by being out there on other podcasts. The challenge could be, I don't know who Bethany's audience is. Like, I don't know necessarily who everyone's audience is. So there's more of a roll of the dice. And so it's like the most important thing to get rid of that disconnected marketing is to talk to a customer face to face, right? And so you do that, and then you can try to scale it afterward, right? So start with the one-to-one conversation. The other thing is when it's your own show, you can pick and choose who's on it. And I want
Yeah.
that person. Maybe they'd be a great partner, maybe they'd be a great customer, or they just look damn interesting and I want to talk to them. They're gonna be on my show because it's my show. Shut up,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so you can control it that way. So I always vote for the control, but then once you're doing that and it's working, then you do some guesting, and that can really help you as a host and help you grow your own show and attention.
Uh, let's talk about your book, Marketing Automation Unleashed.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
what's a simple automation tactic that can save time and boost results for small business? This is a big conversation that people are having right now around the advancement of AI and all the tools and things that are just cropping up left and right.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
let's cut through some of that noise and that fluff and
Seriously, all of my consulting that I did over like decades and the company I ran that was around this topic, I put everything I knew around this topic into that book. Not like a fluff book. This is like, here's everything, guys. Why? Because I'm going off into podcast land, right? So everything around email marketing, landing pages, capturing, nurturing, automating, it's all in there. I just want people to have it and stop doing the bad stuff, do the good stuff. So it's all in there. But if I were to extract one thing that comes out of there, gosh, it's this idea of a carrot scale. You know what? So many people violated this. Like if you're going to send an email out, either make it personal or make it from a company, but don't blend the two. I think sometimes people try to send out, oh, look how clever this is. It's a mass email, but it looks like it's from a company. You need to have like a great wall of China in between the two styles of email you send. If you're going to send an email out, you can make it look personal. And you think about what are the rules of personal email? We're really good at sniffing spam, right? So one quick tip is the subject line, right? Does it look like marketing wrote it? No one's going to read it. Does it look like Casey shot you a quick note? They might open it. They might read it. And so think about how you might send a really personal email. And then like, don't capitalize everything in the subject line. Don't put emojis. I know they're cute, but don't put them in there because a lot of people do that now in marketing. Don't put every keyword under the planet and all the logistical details all in the subject line. That's what a marketing subject line looks like. Casey would send something saying like,
what's up?
you see this, right? And then in the body, it's not like, dear sir, salutations. It's, hey man, hey Casey, Bethany, what's up? Quick thought, saw this, thought of you.
Mhm.
Peace. I'll see you later, right? And then your signature line. So think about how you craft those things. And then finally, a big tip on email marketing and all those things is my favorite radio station, which is now, so that I don't date myself, my favorite Spotify playlist is WII-FM. What's in it for me? That's the thing I like to tune into before I send an email. And you just got to just do this 1 second check to go, does this email have any value? And if the email, here's a hint. If the email is check out my new website, the answer is no, it doesn't have any value. Nobody gives a crap about your new website. But if that website makes cookies or can help them solve a problem, now
Mhm.
it's worth it. So just think about before you hit send, does this look like a personal email? And then also, is that actually going to help somebody?
Yeah. I personally, in our email list, my rule of thumb is you get value 60%
Yeah.
or more. Just
Yeah.
always lead with value, right?
Always.
Generosity. So lead with value, then generosity. So I give them something for free. I give them
Yeah.
a gift. here's a checklist, I give 60-minute free strategy sessions to any
That's
business
great.
owner who schedules one,
Yeah.
because it's an opportunity for us to do a deep dive on their business. I can demonstrate my thought leadership in the process, and even if they don't become a customer, they'll refer business.
Yeah.
So
And like, what's
never
there to lose? Talking to someone who knows what they're
right.
doing, the outside view to look at your business. Like anyone listening to this needs to take advantage of that. How do
I
they
don't
find
know
out
anybody
more?
else who does
Where do they
that.
go? Where do they click?
They all know. It's in the
They all
description.
know.
Time to thrive in
Click on that,
business.com
y'all. Like,
backslash
take
free
advantage of
intro.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my rule of thumb. Lead with value, give generously. And then if I'm trying to sell something, it's probably in the PS.
Yep.
PS, if you need this, go here. I and this is what where we share this in common. It's about relationship. And in my business, people need to know, like, and trust me before they're going to,
Totally.
basically they're partnering with me to grow their business. And that's their livelihood. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a serious decision.
It's their baby.
So you don't hand that over to a stranger. You hand it over to someone you feel good about, that you feel
Yeah.
aligns with you, that shares your values. And what better way to share that than through a podcast or through well, let's talk about content marketing, because I that's a big
Sure.
one for me. That's something that we do a lot of. And I use my podcast as a content marketing strategy, right? It's
Hell
that
yeah.
large form piece of content that we then break down and redistribute in all kinds of ways. And so it gives you something new, different, value based, all of that. Let's talk about repurposing podcast content to get the
Hell yeah.
most mileage.
That is the coolest thing. I'm so happy to talk to a marketer who podcasts. We can skip all the shenanigans about like writing content for days. No, it's this hub and spoke model. If you have a podcast, and I found this out firsthand. I would spend hours writing a really interesting blog post. I put it on LinkedIn, and either 12 people saw it or 1,200 people saw it. And the difference sometimes was like, was there a pretty girl on the cover image on the LinkedIn post? And I was like, and I never knew that. And sometimes it wasn't. And
So
it's
you're
like,
using
what are
the
you
Doritos
doing?
girl. I get it.
Right? Well, I don't know, LinkedIn, I don't know. But, yeah, so it was like you spend all this time. So the real secret is but also there's a lot of fake content and it's coming. The AI wave of fake content's already here. If you don't even know about it, it's an avalanche. And
Mhm.
there's so much fake stuff. I can have 3,000 blog posts written tomorrow. But there are these sort of fake AI blog posts that come from the common denominator. It's like the Budweiser content, right? Your Bud Light content, you don't want to drink that. Come on, you deserve better. So, anyways, you know, the idea is reuse the stuff you have, but reuse these conversations between two wizards. You're talking, I'm talking, really great concepts makes for amazing base that you give that to AI. Say, hey, don't go hallucinate. Don't go grab the mediocre, as my teens would call it, mid content from out there in the
Right.
wonderland, right? Only talk about, only repurpose what you heard in the transcript or heard in this podcast. Go. Now you're getting content that's being created fresh and has the right take and approach. It's the high level, top, most important expert level content. And yeah, I love that. And you're not working, it's like you're working smarter, not harder, right? And you're
Right.
getting that good
I
content
say
in
that all
different
the
ways.
time.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, let's talk. You're a Marine.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm married to an Air Force veteran.
Nice. I
Um,
was in the Air Force.
mhm. So tell us about your experience as a Marine and how it shapes the way you lead, run your business, and show up in the marketing world.
Yeah. Two things come to mind right away. Rushing in, right? One, I didn't have to name an actor, so this is much easier to answer. But two things. One, um, really appreciate freedom of choices, right? And so, when you're in the military, you don't really get to choose much, maybe what you have for lunch, maybe. Um, and that's about it. And you're owned for a while. And so you kind of settle into this, well, let's just burn through time. Let me just sit here and, well, if they want to take 3 hours to do it or 1 hour, that's cool. It's not really my time to burn anymore. So I'm just sort of existing through it. And you can't choose, I want to go over here this weekend. I want to go over there. Right. And then you see other people when you visit other countries, you're like, wow, they don't have it well. Right. So you just really start to appreciate not only freedom, but like some of the luxuries we have, running water, toilets, and things like that. So definitely like a greater sense of gratitude. And then how that's translated to leadership, it was interesting to me. Um, Even big, tough, scary Marines, the people around me, and then there was me. Uh, you'd think, oh, they're probably like yelling at each other all the time. The leaders probably yell all the time. Not really. Not really. And I can count probably on one or maybe two hands anytime that I actually had to yell at people that were underneath me. And maybe it was because it was loud out more than anything. Just because you're in a certain line, it's like, hey, you mind, hey, go help out so and so, or can you give so and so a hand? It was just sort of like, I could yell at you. I could tell you just go and do it and be a jerk about it. But just because I had that positional leadership on you, there's more of an influential leadership too. Like, yes, I have rank, but you're never saying like, oh, hey, I'm this rank. People know and respect that, but they also respect when you're leveraging power correctly. So I always would really appreciate it when even the people above me, I tried to learn from them when they weren't yelling and telling me to go around do everything this way and that way. It was just more of like, hey, this, that, got it, on it, right? And so I've been trying to carry that lesson over, it's never really about your rank. It's about just, treating everybody around you, with respect. And I think that went
Yeah.
a long way for me. And so I just try to carry that with me.
So the whole leadership is service mindset, right?
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, totally.
Casey, I have loved having you on the show. Please share with the audience where they can find you, anything that you might have to offer that they would be interested in, and give all the website names and where you want people to come find you.
Absolutely. You know what? We'll skip all the shenanigans. Email me, Casey@ringmaster.com, CASEY @ringmaster.com. And listen, if I can help answer a question and, you don't necessarily need to work with my company or anything, and you just want, hey, what microphone should I get? Shoot me an email. I'll tell you exactly what you should get. Or, hey, I had thought about this question or whatever. I'm happy to throw some thoughts and ideas at you. And if you do have a company, you're looking to connect with your buyers, and your buyers, if they bought from you, especially some of these dream buyers that you maybe have no business talking to, we could get them as a guest on the show we create for you. So happy to chat through what that looks like. Shoot me a note. We can talk about it. If I can even give you advice, I'll give you advice, recommendations, podcasts to check out, good examples to check out. And then I guess finally, the last thing would be to check out my podcast. It's called The Hardcore Marketing Show. And yeah, we just smash myths
And
left
it's
and right.
CORP, right? Hardcore.
CORPS. Yeah, like the Marine Corps.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Casey, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been fantastic. If you're listening to the show and you haven't rated it yet on iTunes or Spotify, wherever the hell you're listening to this thing, please go do that, because she's literally doing this for free, right? She's just creating great content. So go throw a little 5-star in there. If you don't give it 5 stars, don't bother contacting me. But if you do, I love to talk to you. But yeah, just definitely thank your host, man. That's what you got to do. So go rate this thing. And again, thank you for having me on here. It's been awesome.
Thank you. I'll get your address and mail you that dollar for that loan.
Okay. Well, $2, $2.
Thank you.
New bill, crisp.